Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Edessa, the Dark Crusade. Our scene will be taking place in Omar Shadid's shop, wherein Memnon is awaiting two of his closer associates that he, by day, had sent out a messenger to make contact and to request their presence, if free, to join him at Omar Shadid's shop. And there, Memnon will just be waiting for his friends to arrive as he peruses the wares of the shop.
Yeah, um, Irene would have gotten the message. She does not sound as sad as I do right now. And she will come to Omar Shadid's shop. We'll do a little bit of browsing that she usually does when she's here. And we'll, after checking the store out for a bit, go upstairs and knock on the door just to see if anyone's there yet.
Oh, yes, Memnon would come over to open the door, and he'll be delighted as much as Memnon can express delight that you arrived. Lady Irene, it's good to see you again. Good to see that you are still amongst us.
I think if I was not, he would have known. But it's good to see you too, Memnon. It's been a while. I was starting to get worried.
Hmm. Yes, the daily tasks of commerce can be burdensome, but with business one must always mind it.
And a voice will come through the door, but it seems I have given you a reprieve.
Oh, did El Qadir say that aloud?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ah, and here's my other invite. Al Qadir, good to see you again. Come, come, as Memnon waves him over.
Yeah. And he nods, uh, with a smile on his face, seeing Memnon's face, and will walk over there and present his arms for a deep hug.
Oh, Memnon's not into the hugging. He'll just take you by the forearm and shake it.
And he'll gladly accept it. He will um, bow to Lady Irene, as he normally does.
Yes, she will curtsy.
And he will, how could he ever say, so I hope everything involving your ventures has been going well.
They are going along steadily. I have, as the Lady Irene had just mentioned, have been out of the cycle of news concerning anything with our community. So I thought perhaps, my friends, you could bring me up to speed while I have some business propositions for you.
He will nod and take a seat at the table. And he will say, there's been quite a few things happening with Edessa these nights. One that may benefit you, if it comes to pass.
Oh, I'm all ears.
We have been declared war. We have been declared war upon us by a neighboring city north side.
Hmm, war. Yes, that is indeed profitable. Rules of acquisition. Anyway, um, hmm. And what is known of our neighbors? I have yet to venture that far north.
I'm also in that position. I do not know about them much specifically. The prince and a few others may know more about it. But as far as I know, they are rather small in comparison So for them to declare war upon us is rather odd.
Is this a mortal concern, or is this more a nocturnus matter of war?
It seems absolutely nocturnus and possibly personal.
Mm.
Far as the messenger spoke, he spoke with a hurt pride.
In all honesty, what I know of Fiona is that they've always been sort of aggressive.
But our sheer size should ward them off at this point. If they are choosing to attack us now, they must have something to even the odds.
Or perhaps they think they can take us. Our court is barely formed. In Canaanite's eyes, we are not in a very strong position right now.
What did you call them, Irene? Fiona?
Fiona,
Is that the name of their town?
yes,
Hmm.
I've been there once. It was where the Gangrel Primogen was assassinated, murdered.
Hmm.
I don't know. It was a bit strange at that point, and I wasn't very well versed with the politics, but someone slighting another party and being punished by death for it. I don't remember the details anymore. The Gangrel were quite upset.
Alcubir focus intently on Irene's words, and he nods.
Hmm. Well, then there's already a troubled history between these two respective realms. Is there a prince of that town or something comparable?
As far as the decoration seemed to be, yes. The fact that they sent a messenger and not just simply send a some type of scouting party should I would assume so.
A messenger can always be a scout. But, hmm. Well, I do not want to disrupt any plans that the prince or anyone else above my station may be putting into the works when it comes to this ordeal. Though I must say I would be glad if perhaps we conducted a scouting party, size the enemy's defenses, test them for weaknesses.
If the prince's original plan goes through, there may never be any sense of conflict. The sheer audacity of these attacks does put in question with the higher courts.
And what do you think, Irene? Do you think conflict can be so avoided?
I'm not well versed in politics of war, but I've heard my sire mention before that Odessa's position in the area is weakening because we do not have our court together, and our court does not act like one. Of course, there are spies here in the city, I have no doubt about that. I think within, I think there might be more even of cities that are not necessarily at war with us or about to plan to. I'm not sure. I think if we want to make Fiona back down, they have to believe that we are stronger than we have so far appeared to be. I don't know if we can live up to that.
And just exactly how would they be measuring our strength? Are there not enough men at arms? Do we not have an adequate size of soldiers to muster? Or is it a matter of our control over the landscape?
I think it's the latter more than anything else. Plus, a sense of direction that we all have to look into. I think we are dealing with a lot of trouble right now internally, and it is hard to fight a war on many fronts. So for them to add a front to this, it is a tactical advantage.
Opportunistic, to say the least. Could not hold it against them. It is the perfect time to strike an enemy when their forces are not organized and morale is low.
That, yes. Interesting thing is though, how did they find out? Sure, spies. I mean, I know that there was speak of the ambition of the Prince of Fiona for quite a while now, but mm, maybe they have other ways of knowing when would be the best time to strike at it as.
We could have a traitor amongst our midst.
Yes, that is why I tried not to engage in the petty bickering and backbiting of politics.
Well, the pettiness is putting us in a position of weakness. We already are being sabotaged with fires in the farmlands, if you haven't already heard. That's affecting our resources for the mortals. Then there has been an assassination of a holy man and a large and a large influence amongst the Assamites. So now we must worry if there's enemies at our doorstep or within our home. We are not going to lie down after a blatant violence against us.
Indeed. Nor should we. The people are an untapped resource. Since the flooding that occurred some months ago, and now in with the fires that are erupting, there are jobs and tasks that can be handled. The mortals need to be invigorated as well as funded. This would bring me to the business proposition that I have for you two, and perhaps this could begin a framework to the solution that we're having. Our domain in Odessa, as its denizens, are measured by each individual domain. Where there is a weakness in one, it can spread and corrupt the others. Therefore, it is essential for us to help our neighbors in the sense that the defense of their domain can be a defense of our own personal one.
As I agree with your sentiment of unity, I would say at this point, our relationship with our neighbors is rocky. The Sedites think they can take over the Jewish quarters.
And who exactly would want to oppose them?
And Kadir looks at you a bit sternly, kind of giving you a look like, isn't it obvious?
Hmm. Bargains can always be struck. And greed can always be shamed. If the other party, whom is opposed to a totalitarian Sedite rule in the Jewish quarter, could not endure sharing the quarter with them, then there would be an inevitable conflict and perhaps bloodshed. But yes, there is much in the quarter worth ensuring an available market that is beyond total Sedite control.
Out of character, I had to look it up real quick what their main area is. I know the Jewish quarter is Astamat territory, and the fact that Slaughter brought it up as an I should get more space there is upsetting.
Hmm.
So, but I think they're in the. I thought they're in the nobles' quarters or somewhere nearby it.
Hell no. No one's seen the nobles' quarters.
Yes. Well, I have had, due to current plans and needs for my own machinations, I've garnered somewhat of a bad reputation. All lies, I assure you. But some say that Memnon is perhaps too self-interested amongst the mortals. That Memnon does not have the best interest for those whom he brings into his dealings with. Couldn't be further from the truth. They simply lack vision. You can kind of tell that Memnon's bullshitting himself, but
I have already saw some of the hippie-handed nature of the Green Guild, and I'm hoping that what you say is the truth, and you're not, excuse me, mimicking their behavior. And he gives you a serious look, like, "Don't lie to me. Just be honest."
when the flooding occurred, lives needed to be saved. There was no time to debate and consider people's feelings. People had to act. I simply motivated them to act. And that is how I regard other instances where the benefit of the community outweighs the interest of the one particular individual. Though I have not broken anybody or impoverished anyone, they simply do not like that I have such strong, compelling words, if you catch my meaning.
Trying to go around the use of the blood against mortals is unnecessary. But the fact that they seem to notice that they listen to your words, you might want to be a bit more subtle.
Yes, you are right about that. And that will be my approach in the future. As for now, to regain their confidence and that Memnon cares and has their interest at heart, I envision for, well, my further machinations that a wedding needs to take place. I will be having one of my servants married off. So I would like to conduct a festival to honor him, his bride, my allies, and to bring the crowd a little bit closer so that I may extol patronage and gifts, something to give back to the community. I am inviting you both as personages to attend if you'd like. A chance to network, to discover potential opportunities amongst the mortals in a, well, open fashion.
As I would not mind being a seneschal to this particular gathering. Due to some personal things, am rather busy these nights, and I may not be able to attend such a thing.
Hmm.
I can
It is.
guarantee your
Mhm.
weather will be good, but that's all I can truly guarantee.
Hmm. Well, we are in no rush at the moment. This wedding is still far ahead in time. I will see if I can make its convenience for all of it, all the invites. Would you care to attend, Irene?
I would be most honored.
You see, as I had mentioned before, this city needs people who can respond to fires and put them out without so much necessary direction by one of our kind. There needs to be preparations, whether that is drillings or actual structures that can provide aid and safety in times of flood. There needs to be protection for the farmlands, perhaps granary stores to secure them against, well, any acts of vandalism.
If that's not sound like what you want to have is a privatized militia for security.
Hmm, I did not think of it that way. Perhaps that is the way that it must be done. But with so much potential out there and it not being put to use, is it any wonder why our enemies see us as weak?
I would say if you really want to accomplish something like this, maybe you should speak to who has control over the city guards. Having a
Is
private
it
military force will make people unsettled, especially if their opinion about you, Memnom, is less than favorable right now.
However, the city guards responds to threats within the city, not outside. You would need an army for that. Luckily, there is one. I might be able to pull some strings. Not that I have any influence over an army. I mean, as I said, my knowledge of war is extremely limited.
I can tell you that in times of war, every man, woman, and child becomes a soldier in, well, the darkest of moments.
Unfortunately, I do believe that you are speaking the truth, Samantha.
Well, it's not quite an army I envision having under my belt. It is more a cohesive force of labor, a machine of sorts that'll turn on its own without so much direction, that can operate necessarily without a head. The people know what they need, they just need the means of acquiring it.
So what you would want is a common guard, one that's made of the people, or at least in the interest of the people, that are trained to deal with matters of great importance or great disaster within the city and out.
Yes, of course. There was one thing that I learned from the curfew is that while the city watch has the interest of the people, it can undermine their livelihoods at the same time. The people need to learn how to defend and provide for themselves when and where they cannot always rely on the guard or the nobles. And Memnon is trying to massage that so it's not quite a slight in Irene's direction.
I see. Well, I have done what I best I could do with my people. I try to make sure that they know how to feed and clothe them and understand language. But I am only one person.
Irene, tell me, as I am as disinterested in politics as any Canite could be, I see that nonetheless it is something that I must learn. Who who are the leaders of each community? Are they nobles or are they of the small folk? Who usually speaks for the small folk?
Mm, I don't really think there's anyone talking for the small folk. There's a reason why they're called small. They
Alkadir
tend
will
to. Mm,
no,
sorry, go ahead.
no. He'll just gesture his hand up.
Yes.
I have a rather strong influence with the small folk, and I do bring up their concerns to the council. That's why I established myself within the Grain Guild. That was one of their concerns.
Yes. The guild is per the guilds themselves are perhaps the first and chief voice of the people, as they are often made up of the smaller folk who populate their occupations.
Yes. Them and I would say the religions.
I'm
I
sorry,
think
what was
they
that,
are
Saskia?
them and probably also the religious parties in the city. Churches, the mosques. They usually hear first of what's boiling with the small folk.
See. Some way, somehow, we can bring a council, the quarters, represented through each district, along with various religions and the occupation. Somehow, this body, perhaps the people could help coordinate themselves. And that would, well, give a Canite with the ways and means, ability to assess the temperament of the people long before a problem becomes visible. But oh well, that is all theoretical at the moment.
It is an interesting theory, at least.
I honestly would love to focus more on the small folk at this moment, but unfortunately, I really can't. But I'll definitely keep this in consideration once these things are taken care of.
And is there some way that I can assist you in that matter?
What we'll be making should be assistant enough.
Yes. Ah, by the way, uh, on your way home, you can stop by my forge. Your request has been completed.
Thank you.
Oh, and Lady Irene, you should pass by my shop as well one of these evenings. There's something I have in mind that you should really take a look at.
Oh, okay, of course. Whenever it is suitable for you.
I am there most nights. Mm. And may I ask you, Lady Irene, how have you been sleeping lately?
Yeah, I. It's been fairly quiet.
No dreams, no nightmares.
Mm. There was one regarding the thing we found. We found more of them by now. Braziers.
How have they been dealt with?
Not all of them have been dealt with. Um, the second one has been destroyed by uh, Sir Asher of the Ventru, Lady Madeline, and myself. A third one has been destroyed by the Seneschal and some company of his. Um, However, when we went out to destroy the fourth one, we realized, or we found out actually, that it was a fake.
Fake.
And it was a trap that was set up to lure us in. And a quite possibly familiar friend appeared to the stage.
Have there been more sightings of the creature we saw in its vicinity?
Yes, I saw it the second time again. It set fire to the house we were in. We found a brazier in the basement. We had to run outside in order not to get burned. I am not sure about the third time. The fourth time, though, the creature either showed more of itself, showed its true self, perhaps,
Mhm.
and it turned out to be a demon that we had fought before.
Demon, you say?
Yes.
Well, I see I will be busy at my forge yet again. We'll say that in Alkadir's like line of sight, kind of now understanding things.
The city is rather busy these nights. Always those who have things that are of real importance in the city.
Yes, it seems that many things are of great import now with the threat of, dare I say, an invasion or simply just a war.
But I do thank you for choosing to spend time with us this night, Memnon.
Oh, but of course, of course. I did not want anyone to think that Memnon had forgotten of them. No. I'm just working towards what ends in what ways I can help. So, if there is a way that I can help either of you with the endeavors ahead, please do let me know.
And Malkadir will stand and will present his hand again for a handshake this time and say, if I feel that you could be assistance, I'll make sure to let you know.
Memnon takes his hand and he shakes it. He nods.
And I as well, of course. And Irene will also stand and curtsy.
Memnon will stand up with you and he'll just see everyone outside. And I guess, after a short look, everyone will part their ways. So, if there's anything else, and I guess that will be the end of our scene. Thanks to players for playing and the watchers for watching. This was Odessa the Dark Crusade. Good night.